Hello everyone, my name is Zenitsu and I'm back with another Buddyfight deck profile video. Today I'm going to be covering the Magic World deck of Mystic Knights. Mystic Knights, the whole idea is it's a size 1 rush deck where you'll play a whole field of your size 1s, and then you will have sync, basically buff them all when you play a fire spell. A lot of the spells that are inherent to Mystic Knights are fire, so that's not very hard. He'll buff your board and make it so that your attacks can actually try to land because of the increased stats, on top of any other additional effects that they might have. So with the Glory Valiant side of Buddy Ragnarok, they definitely got a huge boost in their playstyle because now they have even more access to countercalling for even more aggression. To start off talking about the new cards, Wizard Apprentice Sync is a pretty solid card in which when you cast a fire spell this turn, he buffs all your Mystic Knights by plus 3000, fairly standard for a Sync, and then he has the counteract ability. Don't forget again, during your turn, put up to one fire spell from your deck into your hand, shuffle your deck, and you can only use this once per turn. And then he's got double attack, soul guard, and counter attack. Not only is he buffing the board when you cast a fire spell, he is also searching for a fire spell at counter speed once per turn, so you could do this on your turn, and you could do this on the opponent's turn. And that's just really, really strong, because being able to tutor out whatever you want is just very, very powerful. Another new card that they got is Golden Lion of Passionate Solitude. His call cost is put it on top of a Mystic Knights monster on your field and pay 1 gauge. And then he's got the counteract ability, where basically you could call him at counter speed by paying his call cost if you've casted a fire spell this turn. And then when this card attacks and destroys an opponent's monster, if this card has 9000 or greater power, you basically can stand it up, and then he's got Penetrate and Soul Guard. So obviously he's just a fairly solid countercall creature, and because he basically is going to be trying to pick off the field, he can basically just restand himself every time he does this, which is pretty solid. And then the last big card that they got is RF. So this is a Mystic Knight set spell in which you can only have one set, and then all of your Mystic Knights on your field can't be rested by the opponent's card effects, so limiting what the opponent can do. Fairly standard form of protection. And then it has a counteract ability. During each player's attack phase, you can return up to one Mystic Knights monster from your hand. If you do, you may call a Mystic Knights monster with a different name from your hand into an open area by paying its call cost, and you can only use this once per turn. So again, you are basically just using this to countercall for more aggression or defense, because you could use it on the opponent's turn as well. The rest of the deck hasn't really changed, and it's just using a lot of the standard Mystic Knights package. So Flaming Red Prison of Love Sync is probably going to be the primary sync, and you can also countercall him. He also has the sync buff, where if you cast a fire spell, they all get plus 3000 power and defense. And this, the important thing to know is these do stack. And then he also has the added ability where during the attack phase, if you cast a fire spell, you also get to drain the opponent 1. He's just really good because of the countercalling and the draining. Magic Singer Sync is in there just because of the buff, and he could give your whole field a double attack, and he's just a different named Mystic Knight. Bewitching Crimson Mirage Sync is in there again because he will buff the whole board. He'll give all of the Mystic Knights an extra crit, and the damage can't be reduced, which is always pretty good. Then we're running Magic Manipulator Knight because he is the protection of the deck. He makes it so that your cards can't be destroyed and the abilities can't be nullified. On top of which, he also gives all of the Mystic Knights a +1 crit. Basic Asagi is in there just because she is the Garcat of the deck. She just gauges you and draws you. And then Blue Rose Asagi is in there because she is just another card to countercall, on top of which you still gain your basic resources such as gauge life and card draw. And that's really it for the monsters. We're just going to be cycling through and bouncing them back into our hand, on top of which the spell package is just a fairly basic spell package in which we're trying to abuse Holy Magic. So Holy Magic is definitely a very powerful card where you basically get to recycle the spells you've already casted back into your deck, and then depending on the different amounts, you get different abilities. It's not very hard to cast a whole bunch of spells and then just keep recycling Holy Magic. And especially since we are putting spells back into the deck, we could further utilize Wizard Apprentice's Sync ability to search some of them out as long as they're fire. Wings of Revolution is in there to draw a card and debuff the opponent's board or buff our board. Gate of Transmigration is in there as a solid defense spell to either bounce 2 cards to the opponent's hand or rest 2 of them. Nightmare Cage is in there as a basically restanding impact that's not an impact, so we could continue with the aggression. Last Song is in there is for more resource generation, so gaining more life, gaining more gauge, and drawing more cards. Flame of Memories, again, just drawing more cards. Sephirot's Lecture is just gaining more cards. Selector of SIN is in there to gain us some gauge as well as buff all of our Mystic Knights. And then we could add it back into our hand if we have 3 or more different fire spells in our drop zone. Lunatic Circus is in there to either recycle our monsters from our drop zone or countercall a size 1 from our hand or drop zone. Nice One is in there just to draw some more cards. Loyalty is in there because it's loyalty to try to shut down the opponent from calling too many things. Grace of the Sun Deity is in there because it's Grace of the Sun Deity. And Magic Twin Neck Guitar is in there for some further protection. It could even attack through the center, and it also reduces the gauge cost of our Mystic Knights. So it's just a very well-rounded item, and the deck is just a fairly well-rounded deck that just focuses on buffing your board and cycling through your spells. So as far as some of the extra cards you could run in the deck, obviously you could run Lost World because you're cycling through your deck so much. And then there's just a whole bunch of other tech and tools that you could utilize to continue just basically spell slinging your deck. So you could use something like Buddy Block or Recover Veil because they're just very good generic cards. Abracadabra is a nice tech for Spell Null. No Pain, No Gain is just more drawing and discarding. And then Deep Lay Singularity is just another defense spell, and so on and so forth. The deck is pretty solid overall, and it just tends to do a lot because of all of the interaction that you are able to do thanks to all of the abilities to countercall your monsters. So that's kind of it for the deck. As always, I will have the list in the description below. Feel free to leave a comment if you have any questions about the deck or just want to leave a comment in general. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content, and I will see you in the next video.